radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Friday Night Live. It is February 3rd, 2023. Live here in the bunker with me tonight, Serena DC. Serena, what's happening?
What's up?
Man. This is amazing. And you're okay. I had a whole vision of what we were going to talk about tonight. It's gone, so
okay.
It's all left. But welcome. You're here live in the bunker. Pretty cool, huh?
You know how excited I am to be here? I've been watching your show and listening to it for a long time, and now I'm in the bunker. It's really cool.
She shows up. She goes, Jimmy, whatever. I want to see the bunker.
Yeah, totally.
We're walking in there shortly. So here we are, Friday Night Live, and now we're going to talk UFOs all night tonight. That's what you're here for. But
right.
But I want to talk a little bit about you too as well, because this is the first time the Fade to Black audience and the Fadernauts have met you. So I want to go through that tonight in the beginning and talk about it. And the reason why I want to do it is this. Our community is always welcoming somebody from outside our community. And that's exactly what you did. You waltzed in. Your career in Hollywood, when you go and you look at, your CV and the shows that you have worked on and award nominations and things, you go and you look and you're like, man, this is a very serious, person here.
Right.
And you, do you feel that you walked away from that into UFOs and UAPs, or are they kind of doing the same thing? And why would you do that? Why it was just a very successful thing you had going on, and so I still do. But you know where I'm going with this.
I don't know if I could call it a calling, but something definitely did happen. So let me tell you the story. Basically, for the last 5-6 years, I've been working in Hollywood. I've got my own talk show called Hollywood Disclosure, where I sit down with massive A-list celebrities and they tell me about their rock bottom moments and how they overcame them. And my whole brand has always been personal transformation, how to get from one place to another. And in 2021, I had my first ever encounter with a UFO. So I saw what was the most incredible sighting I've ever seen ever. And it changed my life. It changed my world, because I was always a believer in extraterrestrials and in UFOs. But until you've really seen one with your own eyes, you can believe, but you don't believe. You know what I mean?
That's how it happens. That's how we get you with the first one, and then we have
and
you
then
forever.
You're sucked in forever. And what really frustrated me about the UFO and alien industry is that there were so many movies and so much content coming out, but none of it was kind of mainstream enough. It was all really kind of bootstrap and indie, which is so great, but none of it was able to penetrate everybody else's world. So people that were into UFOs and ETs would love the content, but you try and show it to my dad or try and show it to my math teacher, and they would just scoff at it. That's not believable. You guys are all crazy. Where's your tinfoil hat? So I thought, okay, why don't I use my skills as a professional Hollywood producer, respected Hollywood producer, quote unquote, to make UFO and ET content for the whole world, for everybody, for all 8 billion people that live on this planet, and not just for people that are into the genre.
We're going to circle back to the sighting in 2021 and get into that because it was right after that. We're only in February of 2023. So it was right after that you reached out to me to
did.
come and sit down for your new movie. We'll talk about that too as well. That's releasing in the summer.
That's right.
But your knowledge at that time, and because now it was flipped around. I normally ask the questions, right? So I'm sitting down with you, you're asking the questions.
Right.
It's like, man, this knowledge base and your interest was very strong. How quickly did you start to absorb this after the sighting in 2021 to become a producer and a director in a major film?
I guess I kind of cheated in a way. So again, I'd always been obsessed with the genre. I've watched every single documentary, every single film. If you talk about the movie Signs by M. Night Shyamalan, I can literally quote it from beginning to end. I've watched it so many times. So I was really into it, but I'd never done a deep dive into the facts. And so I decided after I saw the UFO, okay, I want to interview Dr. Stephen Greer on my show, Hollywood Disclosure. So in a crazy turn of events, I went to his Instagram page, and at the time he was only following 40 people, 40. And I sent him a DM. And when I sent him the DM, for some reason, it was read straight away. And I'm like, this is really weird, because normally when you send someone you don't know a DM, it goes into the ether, right? It goes into general. And so I looked at who he was following, and he was following me.
You know how many DMs I read? I read one, yours. Everything else is into the ether.
Right. But it was the strangest thing ever. So he was actually following me, randomly following me. So straight away I thought, okay, I'm on path here. Just seen a UFO. Now I go to Dr. Greer's page. Dude's following 40 people. One of them's me. What the fuck? Am I allowed to swear on this show? I hope so.
You just did.
Okay. Anyway, and so he said, let's hop on a call, and we did. And 3 hours later, I'd made a new friend. And I remember hanging up the phone from Dr. Greer and saying to my partner, what the fuck is going on? Did I just talk to Dr. Greer for like 3 hours? He invited me to his house. So I went to
South Carolina.
Beautiful property, lucky man. And we decided to make a film together. And that's what Contact, the CE5 Experience is all about. But the catalyst for me, how I got so entrenched into this world, was he introduced me to Michael Mazzola. Michael was the director and creator of Close Encounters and so many other amazing films. And Michael and I became besties.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and decided to create a new project together and hit you up to be a part of it.
I'm excited about that. I don't, what I remember, and we're going to move on really quick, but what I remember most about that, I don't remember the specifics of you and I going back and forth. What I do remember was walking away going, man, this is going to be friggin' great. Because I was able to, if you remember, I'm the show host. So I like to listen to other people ask questions. So you remember I sat back and watched you interview 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And okay, all right, she's a professional. This is going to be really good.
I was more nervous interviewing you than any of them. I'll be honest with you, because it's weird when an interviewer interviews an interviewer.
Yes,
you know,
it is. It's
risky business.
It's like when you dream inside of a dream. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like that. Well, okay, so let's back up then. So the moment was 2021. Right. What happened? Was it here in the States or was it in Australia?
It was in Australia.
Okay.
So, in Australia, we were still kind of in the COVID clusterfuck. So, a lot of videos were consumed. And I watched Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and I'd never heard of CE5 before. And, I've always been looking up at the sky. I've been to Area 51. I've been to Joshua Tree, been everywhere, never seen a UFO ever, no matter how hard I tried. So when I heard that there was a way to have human-initiated contact, a way that you could somehow summon these amazing craft and beings to come and visit you and say hi, I'm like, holy shit, this sounds cool. So I went to regional Victoria, to the countryside, and I was outside with my partner, and I did the reverse Google Earth version of CE5.
Okay.
When you can imagine the Earth, and then the country, and then the state, and then all the way down to where you are, right?
Right.
And I remember we had our eyes closed while I was doing the meditation, and we open our eyes, and I look at him, and we just start laughing because we're standing in a field, freezing our asses off, trying to summon extraterrestrials. So we're laughing like idiots, and then it happened. then we saw it, and
What'd you see?
it's hard to describe, but
Yeah, they always are. But
so it wasn't an orb, and we've you and I have both seen many, many, many of those. It wasn't a flying saucer. What it was an enormous plasma beam of light. So even though it was quite far away, it was about 2 feet high, if in my mind's eye, and it appeared and it just slowly passed in front of us and all the way across the sky, and then it disappeared. And it was silver and pulsating. I would call it plasma. And there is nothing on earth that I've ever seen that looks like that. There was nothing out there in that field that night that it could have been. And after it happened, I was silent for a while. My partner was silent as well. And then we just looked at each other and we're like, there it is. There it is. That's it. We have proof now, we've seen it.
When I, I've seen things, but when it comes to CE5, and even actually before the official introduction of CE5, okay, so I'm with people that are really good investigators and people that I respect.
Yeah,
this is many, 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 many years ago, where they go, hey man, so you can consciously, call the ships in. You call it with your mind. You call it. I'm like, man, bullshit. Stop with that, right? And
right?
Because I was so fixated. That's your Instagram just fell.
Just fell. She'll fix it in a minute.
Gabby. We're live on Instagram on Serena's Instagram. What's your Instagram?
It's I am Serena DC.
I am Serena DC on Instagram. And so I'm hearing, you take a laser and you go blip, 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 and then they'll blip, blip. I'm like, man, no. I'm here for the serious stuff.
Right.
And then it happens. Right. And when you do this thing, so I went to my first CE5 thing.
Right.
So I go and I have a loud voice. I'm a bit of a dick in a crowd. I like to have fun. I like to hang out with people. I like to, crack jokes and stuff. And so we're at the CE5 and everybody's meditating. They're out there. Kumbaya, right. They're playing the alien music. They're meditating. And I'm going, let's go, man. Pastrami sandwiches, crank to Van Halen. And somebody came up to me from behind. Shh, dude, we're meditating for the CE5. I'm like, man, no. Let's do this. And it was just so funny. I offended everybody there.
Right.
And then I understood a bit more about the CE5 experience. There's a protocol. It's not this free form thing. I would laugh and joke and get, I would have hundreds of people around me and I'm getting them to yell and scream like it's a rock concert.
Right.
The exact opposite of what a CE5 does. I've done both, but then I got into the CE5 experience. I started to respect it a bit more, but I abused it in the beginning. I didn't know. I didn't have any idea.
Well, it's interesting you say that, though, because, Dr. Greer has his set of CE5 protocols that he uses, and they're extremely regimented. And, this is a man that was an emergency room doctor for many years. And so he's very methodical and, rule-based. And so when you go and do a CE5 with him, it is like that. Everyone does need to be quiet. You get into this cohesive sort of hive-like mind. There's meditation, a puja. It's beautiful. It's amazing experience. And more often than not, when he has these CE5s, some amazing things show up. But I've been very blessed to have spent time with some incredible people that are able to use telepathy to contact these extraterrestrials, but they do it in very different ways. So I'm sure everybody knows who Jim Martin is. So Jim Martin is the
VP.
How would we describe him?
Well,
executive producer of pretty much every single UFO movie you've ever seen.
Yeah. He runs the UFO side of the paranormal side of 1091 Films, formerly The Orchard. I met, man, geez, I'm not even, she's probably listening right now. Jim, when did we meet?
Hey, Jim.
I met Jim, had to have been around 2015, I think.
Right.
We're in 2020. Yeah,
Isn't he great?
He's you know
majestic
what?
and wonderful.
He believes.
Yeah.
That man believes.
If I'd seen as much as he'd seen,
I
would
know.
believe. I think he is an extraterrestrial. I'll be honest with you.
He's
There's something going on there.
He's ET-ish.
Yeah. You know who he reminds me of? Have you seen, Lord of the Rings? What's the one called with like the long hair, like the elf guy?
Oh yeah, Legolas.
That's who he reminds
Yeah, he's
me of.
he's Legolas-ish.
Right?
But okay, so
But I went out with him, and his method is completely different, and it's much more akin to what you're saying. So, rule number 1 is get happy.
yes,
So get into a state where you're in a positive mental state, and then he uses this triangulation method. So he likes to look up into the sky and kind of map a triangle, an area in the sky that's triangular in shape, and then he says to everyone in the group to look at the same spot, and while you're looking at the same spot, to basically visualize that you're looking through that into another dimension, and then you see a craft and you almost pull it back through.
mm-hmm.
Which is very different.
It is very different,
but it works because I've seen and captured many UFO.
Okay, so Jim, I want to know about your sightings. Jim, this is probably
I'll show you some.
It's about 4 or 5 years ago. He sent me a bunch of videos,
right.
And he says, so what do you think? And I wrote it back. I go, man, these are amazing, man. Where'd you get these? He writes me back, they're mine. I was like, holy crap. Dude.
Why are there so many? I know, they're so great, and he does it so effortlessly, and I love doing CE5 with him because normally I do it with people that haven't seen much, but with him he's like, oh yeah, there's one. Hey, like it's just normal,
I was sitting with Adam Curry, our dear friend.
My angel.
I love that. Love the best hair in all of ufology.
Best everything. I love that man.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And so we're sitting. I was hosting an event, and Greer was speaking, and I think we did 2 in one day. Anyway, I'm hosting. And Adam and I are hanging out. And I just introduced Greer. He's on the stage. Adam and I are backstage. And I go, man, I've got seats in the front. So let's go.
Yeah.
And we had these big screens. And so Adam and I are sitting in the front row. Adam and I have talked about this many times. It was pretty extraordinary. So we're sitting in the front row, but we got this jumbo, it's like a movie theater screen right in front of us. And Greer starts rolling these videos that he says they'd never been seen. I don't know. I'd never seen them, right. And neither had Adam. And I mean, some pretty crazy stuff. And right. I can't dismiss what was being seen. And I remember Adam and I, 2 guys that we would like to think that we have seen it all. We were just blown away. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. Some of the stuff that is captured at these CE5 events.
I find that the difference between when Greer does it to other people that I've been with is that he, what he told me, and you can see it if you watch the movie, that Contact. When I interviewed him, I wanted to know about his first ever experience, because we all know he has the protocols. We all know he does CE5 and all the amazing things he does. But like, how did it all start, And how it all started was that he had a near-death experience. He nearly died, left his body and came back. But then a few days later, he actually was out for a hike and he saw his first craft. And when the craft appeared, he basically was completely shocked. An extraterrestrial then appears, taps him on the shoulder, and all of a sudden, boom, he's off in the craft. And when he's in that craft, he actually sat there with them for a long period of time, and he came up with the protocols with them together. So what he says happened is that he spent time with extraterrestrials, and together they created a language, a way for extraterrestrials and humans to speak. Right.
Same thing happened to me, and the protocols were pastrami sandwiches and Van Halen. Really? And I said, "I'm in. If that's all we have to do to get this done."
Yeah.
But yeah,
they speak to me too.
What?
A bit different from
is that okay?
They do. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay, we've got.
But to your point, though, I think why I'm trying to tell you that story about him is that I think that for a lot of us, we have sightings. Obviously, we're blessed in a way because we keep seeing things all the time.
Right,
it's not by accident. It's they've seen us and they're communicating.
I agree.
But I think with him, he gets more impressive sightings because I think that he's held space with these beings. face to face kind of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So maybe he's able to there's a little magnet, then there's a big magnet. I just think he's got a bigger pull. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and I think that everything is possible. Yes, I agree with that. But I also I cannot dismiss the numbers of the size of the Milky Way and how many planets are here. So therefore, it's not one species visiting us. I think it's thousands.
Yeah.
And so his experience with something that has been repeated, right? Works for who he is making contact with. I get that. But so many experiences are varied. Right. They're not even similar. The types of craft, or what the beings look like, or what happened, or what is it a silver craft? Is it a light craft? Is it a plasma craft? Is it interdimensional? Did it enter from the atmosphere?
Is it even a craft?
That's what I'm saying. It's thousands of variations. Right.
Like Jim and Adam, we were in Joshua Tree doing a CE5, and we were standing under the stars together. It was this really beautiful, intimate moment. The three of us were standing near the fire, just staring up at the sky, and everyone around us was kind of partying, getting a bit drunk, getting a bit lit, but we were kind of the serious ones in the moment, and we were philosophizing about it. And I said to Jim, I'm like, what do you think this is? Is it a craft? Like, where's it coming from? Is this reptilians? What do you think it is? And he said to me, and it was the first person that's ever said it to me, he goes, he thinks that these orbs are just beings within themselves. So it's not a craft. Just like a dog looks like a dog, a dolphin looks like a dolphin. This being looks like a round ball that's illuminated.
Yeah. I was in
coming to say hi.
Listen, I was in Joshua Tree. This is now I'm going to say infamous instead of famous. Infamous.
Right.
I'm with a couple of 100 people, and got a microphone, PA system, pitch black, dark, right in the middle of the desert, and it happened. And off to my left, behind the mountains, this green ball is going this way across the desert floor, and then it turns up. And there's a documentary film crew there. It's like 6 cameras. They're filming this. There's a PA system. Somebody's holding up a microphone. I'm looking at it and telling everybody what's happening. People are pointing lasers, and stuff, and following this thing. And it goes across, lasted for about 5 minutes. It goes across the desert low, and then boop, turns up and goes up at an angle. So it goes from us on the ground, right? And turns up. It's a green ball.
Holy shit.
And I'm thinking it's maybe 50 feet around. And it goes up all the way up 5 minutes, and then turns into a star, and then goes boop and goes out. Now, but here's the thing. I thought it was a ball of energy, but then I could see a reflection on it. So I called it the green chrome balls, right? Because that's what it looked like. But then the lasers. Really? Serena, I'm looking at it, and I could see the lasers bounce off of it, sparkle. So it probably
was more solid, right?
It didn't pass through. You know what I mean? And it was one of the most profound, paradigm shifting things I've ever seen in my life.
So what do you think it was?
Well, see, it goes back to what that wasn't. Well, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be like other things that I've seen, a ball of energy, right? Some spirit energy.
It seemed much more solid, more tactile.
I saw the lasers bounce off of it, and I saw it go up into space. It didn't hang out with us, down here, and just it would, do what orbs do. This thing went up into space and then took off. It was crazy.
Serious question for you. How did it make you feel?
If you go and watch the video, the videos that are online of that, you can hear me talking in the background. And I remember after I bent over, I put my hands on my knees, and I went, Jesus Christ, I need a Vicodin and a shot of vodka.
Right.
And I say that. and everybody heard, but I was not playing. I mean, I was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
it was crazy. So that week, you're the guest, and I'm the one rambling here, and everybody's heard this story many times.
Sorry, I just find you so fascinating.
I know. So that week, so Sunday, the producer for Coast to Coast calls me, Lisa, and she goes, "Who's your guest on Coast to Coast this week?" And I said, "Me." She goes, "What?" I said, "I just had this sighting." She goes, "Tell me about it." And I did.
Yeah.
She goes, "That's amazing. Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah.
And so that's what for those 200 people, Serena, that were sitting, that were out there with me that night and going through this, they need that. They need somebody like you to speak out in the media.
Yeah.
They need somebody like me to speak out in the media. They were there, right? So they're going to go and tell their friends about it. But okay, now it's just a story. But if Jimmy Church goes on Coast to Coast,
Then
right?
it's real.
If you do your movie, if you go and validate, some of these things that other people have seen, it gives them the credibility that they need, right? So they can go talk about it. You know what? I know it sounds egocentric, but they need to be able to go to their friends or family and go, Church was on Coast to Coast last night.
Don't take my word for it.
Right.
I don't know about you, but when it first happened to me, I wanted to tell everybody and I wanted to tell nobody because it was so it was so amazing and so incredible. But I'm like, no one's going to believe me. They're all going to think that I'm weird. They're all going to, and fuck anyone that's going to like look me in the eye and tell me that I'm talking shit, But I'd like to think that because of the career that I have and the profile that I have, me coming forward and saying that I've seen these things and they're real, like it's career suicide and I'm doing it anyway. So that's got to say something,
Well, how has Hollywood, your friends in Hollywood? And
well, it's interesting, because half of my friends are Democrats, half of them are Republicans, and then there's a little smattering of everyone else in the middle, right?
Right.
And you find with the people that are Democrats, they tend to be like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Whereas when you talk to Republicans, it's like either like fucking oath, of course it is, or you're an idiot. It's very black and white. The Dems are kind of like, but for me, I think that most people know that I'm a truth seeker and a truth teller, and why the hell would I bother making it up? Why would I bother?
When I was in school for broadcasting, and one of our teachers was everybody was a professional, and he worked for CNN. So he's in, and we're dealing with cutting new stuff and editing. We're talking about this and that, and news director. And I said, so this is like 20 years ago. I go, hey man, what if you had a story about a UFO? And he goes, what? Right? And I go, UFO and the contact, and you got a video. What would you? He goes, man, that's career suicide.
Yeah.
I would never. I go, yeah, but you've got the video. You've got the thing. I would never know.
Yeah.
And I at that moment, I went, that's what I'm going to do.
Exactly. That was how I felt about it as well. But I just decided I'm going to tell the story in a different way. So are the conspiracy theories real? Probably. Did Roswell happen? Highly fucking likely. But those stories have kind of been told, and I'm just not going to go tell them again.
Right.
So for the people that are telling those stories, fuck yeah, keep going, because I love watching your documentaries so much.
Right.
But what I'm trying to do is create content for everyone else, for the non-believers. So there's a lot of people creating it for the believers. I'm creating it for the non-believers. I'm trying to take like this thing that we're so passionate about, that we love so much, that's brought so much joy and meaning to our life. I'm trying to mainstream it because I want to give that gift to everyone.
Okay, yeah, but Serena, so now your agent calls and says, okay, so I've got a new show. We're going to be doing this on Netflix.
Yeah,
and the new show is. I'm thinking of something Netflixy.
The Visitors.
No, not UFO.
Oh, not UFO.
No.
Dating show.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Dating, whatever it is, right? So you're on set.
Right.
You're doing this Netflix thing. You've got catering. You've got You've got your dressing star wagons, and
Yeah.
it's a production, right?
Right.
They're going to come up to you and go, I saw that UFO thing you did.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Do you think you are going to be known as the UFO chick in Hollywood now?
I think that I am. It's really crazy. And when people ask me about it, I'm just like, aliens, mate. What can I say? We're being visited. It is what it is. I'm like, you'd have to be stupid, right? You'd have to be so dumb to think that we're the only people in this universe, right?
I know. Well,
right? What are they going to say? No.
Well, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I think that was the case. We still didn't understand about how many planets there were out there.
Yeah.
We didn't have UAPs and videos and stuff. But now it's like it's safe to talk about.
Look, this is the bottom line. The Pentagon have confirmed that there are craft that are not from this world visiting us, but still people aren't listening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much more bona fide you get than the Pentagon admitting that there's UFOs.
Right.
I just think it's so crazy, but I love that happened because it allows me to pivot off that, because if someone says, well, I don't believe in aliens, I'm like, oh, so you don't believe in your government and you don't believe in Pentagon. They're lying, are they? Okay.
But
don't believe me. Just
But that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think you and I talked about this in the movie. I don't know if it made the final cut, but I had remember you and I sitting down and talking about this, which is for decades, the Pentagon, the CIA, Washington has made fun of us, our UFO community. Now they want to be our friend. And they don't understand why we are a little reticent to jump in bed
with them
after decades of you just calling us crazy and tinfoil hat and it's psychosis, and we imagined it, we made it up, it didn't happen, we didn't see it, it was swamp gas, it was a weather balloon.
Totally.
And now you want to tell us, oh, well, actually, we weren't actually telling the truth, this whole time. No, UFOs are real. No, I don't know. I think it's going to take some more time.
Yeah. You know what frustrates me, though, why I'm so passionate about, spreading this message with everyone around the world, is because I know what it's done for me, and I know what it's done for you, and I know what it's done for everybody that's witnessed a UFO. It completely changes your worldview. And if you're a depressed person, it gives you hope. If you're somebody that was sitting in an office job that you hated, all of a sudden it gives you the inspiration to try and do more.
Right.
If you're a lonely person that didn't have many friends, it gives you a community.
Absolutely.
And something to be a part of. It brings spirituality back. And I don't mean religion, but it reminds you that there's something else.
Well,
there's something out there.
Okay.
It's such a gift,
What is crazier? I mean, if we are told by the government that we are absolutely alone in the universe, then there isn't a reason to grow. Let's just burn this fucking place down. Let's party. Right there. What's the reason?
Because they're the boss. There's no overlord.
Right.
They're the overlord.
Because the flip side, if they tell us we're not alone and we've got stuff going on, that gives us a reason to grow. To meet our alien brothers and sisters and to keep this planet beautiful.
It just means they're not the boss.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not the boss. They're the boss of their own sandbox. But their sandbox is small, Jimmy.
Well, and that does give people hope. I totally agree. It gives us a reason to look to the future instead of, because if there isn't a reason, if we're truly alone, who gives a shit?
Can I tell you a cool story?
Yes.
Okay, it's a little bit left field, but I'm going to tell you. So I just finished making a documentary called Beyond the Grave. It's about the afterlife. Because myself and Adam Curry and lots of other people have this ongoing theory that there is a link between the afterlife, so spirits and ghosts, and extraterrestrials. We think that they're kind of one and the same, and they kind of travel in the same realms and the same thing. So I decided that I wanted to make a documentary about it, and I went and I met with a lot of near-death experiences. So people that have died and have been to the other place and they've come back. And the most famous near-death experiencer on planet Earth is this guy called Dr. Eben Alexander.
He's amazing.
He's amazing. Why is he amazing? Because he was an atheist and he was a brain surgeon and he didn't believe in life after death. And then he died and he was in a coma for 3 weeks, but he actually lived for 28 years in the other place.
Yep.
And while he was in the other place, he talked about how all of the spirits hang out there. And I'm like, oh, what do they look like? Like me and you? And he's like, yeah, they look like me and you, some of them, but others look like grey aliens, reptilian aliens, and all manner of other species and aliens and beings that you could never even imagine, never even fathom. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like we're just hanging out with ETs up in, the ether? And he's like, when we die, we all go back to source. We all go back to the same place. Catholic people would probably refer to it as heaven. I don't know if it's the same thing. But what he's saying is when we die, when our soul leaves our physical body, whether you're extraterrestrial or whether you're human or a dolphin or a dog or a pigeon, you all go to the same place and there you are, And I asked him, I'm like, do you think that means that if I chose to be reincarnated, I could be something else and go somewhere
What'd he
else?
say?
He looked me square in the eye and he goes, yes.
You know what's
Right. We are them, they're us.
I got to see him speak and read his book.
Great book.
Amazing book.
Let's plug it. Proof of Heaven. Dr. Eben Alexander.
He's the perfect guy to do that too.
Yeah.
The atheist, pragmatic, black and white,
He made me a believer. 100%.
When he he's got a very serious, he's a very educated man, right? That's who you need to flip.
100%.
That's who you need to flip.
100%. 100%. Because again, why the hell would he say the things that he says? But it would totally discredit his career, but he does it anyway.
He didn't have to join our community. He didn't have to write the book. He didn't have to speak about his experiences. He just could have continued his path in medicine and had a great life and a great career.
You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to send you that clip. If you wanted to share it with your followers, because the way that he describes seeing the other extraterrestrial beings in amongst the humans, it actually made me embarrassing. I'm a girl, excuse me, everyone, but it made me cry because it was just that's how it should be, right?
Well,
all of us together and happy and coexisting.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
When we are trying to make sense, our ability to understand is limited, right?
Oh, it's almost dog shit. Let's face it.
That's right. Because 1,000 years ago, your ceiling of what you could understand, or 50,000 years ago, so where we are today, we are trying to make sense of what is going on.
Right.
Extra dimensions, entanglement, quantum physics, interdimensionality, time travel, all
of it.
And ghost and throw Bigfoot in. And
throw in the Sasquatch.
Throw in Sasquatch. And so when you start to, it's like, wait a minute, maybe we're just talking about the same things here. And I'm okay with that. We just don't understand. We're trying to make sense of it, but we don't have the ability yet.
What I don't get is you and I, we're sitting here talking about this sort of stuff. I find it so fascinating and exciting. Like I want spirits and extraterrestrials and Bigfoot and all of that to be part of my life. I don't know why everybody doesn't feel that way. Why do you think people are like, no, that's not true.
Can you imagine?
Nothing to see here.
Can you imagine how I'm going to offend a few people here, but can you imagine how boring of a life you would have if you were just driving to work every day thinking to yourself, all there is to life is my mortgage payment and insurance and getting my in-ground pool.
Right.
There is nothing else. That sucks. I think that sucks.
Right.
I mean, and that's the majority of the planet.
But I just don't get how you can sit outside and look up and see all of the stars, which we all know are suns that are surrounded by planets and moons.
Everyone.
Gazillions of them, right?
Yes.
And still think, oh yeah, we're alone, mate. Just us. Just here all alone. Isn't that? I actually find that scary, like quite terrifying.
Well, see,
We've been abandoned here on this rock all on our own.
Here we are. We're out here in the middle of the Mojave Desert, right? Go out in my backyard. We'll do it after the show. And I've got chairs, I've got binoculars, I've got telescopes, I've got night vision. And you look up, at all of those stars in the Milky Way. And if your life is so closed down that you don't care, that's insane to me.
Right.
That's insane. Right now we have a green comet. We can go outside and see the green comet. Right? Yeah, and people don't care about that. It's like what?
I think people have lost their childlike wonder, you know.
Why?
I think when we're children, you know, our minds haven't been influenced by society, and so everything and anything is possible. But as we get older, people keep telling us, "No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you can't."
Why do you think? Why do you think UFOs are visiting us? It can't be one specific answer. All right, there's got to be a variety of answers, but in a general sense, why are they here?
So the next movie I have coming out is called We Are Not Alone, and that movie is on a quest to answer that question, because that is the one question that plagues me and keeps me up at night. And so what I decided to do was travel across the country and talk to as many experts as I could about why they think we're getting visited, and every single expert I spoke to unanimously had the same answer, and that was to give Jimmy Church a big kiss. No. And I'm going to give it to you now. From the YouTube. No, why they believe and why I believe that they're visiting is because our planet's in trouble, and you know, humanity is not listening. They're not listening. They're not making the changes quick enough. We have solar power now. We have wind power and so many other options, but we're still burning fossil fuels every single day at an alarming rate. And we're not listening. And so I think that they're here coming to communicate with as many people as will listen to deliver the same message. So we're all being given the message. I've been given the message. Everyone that communicates with these ETs is given the same message. And what I'm trying to do with pushing forward the whole CE5 movement is getting more and more people to try and make contact, because if more people make contact, Jimmy, more people are going to get the message. The more people that get the message, the more people are going to start getting pissed off. And the more pissed off people there are, the more likely change is to occur. That's what I think.
We're not.
Why not help?
We're not ready in that sense. Our community is ready. We get it, right? We understand. I think the rest of the world is close, right? But you have to be ready to accept change. I thought after this pandemic and the crap that the world, it wasn't just the United States, it wasn't just Australia or Canada or you know, pick a country, you know, China, Japan, you know, but that we would come out of the other side of this. This wasn't a nuclear war. This was, you know, it was a pandemic. Right. So we don't have to rebuild. We didn't have that, you know, that we would come out of the other side of this with a better understanding of what it is to be human.
Wasn't it supposed to bring us closer together?
Yeah.
Weren't we all supposed to look after each other and stuff like that?
What happened with that? It's like, it's like we fight.
I felt at the beginning it was happening.
I did too.
I felt it.
I did too.
This is
really
it. I actually thought that this was when the extraterrestrials would finally come, because we'd be cohesive.
Yes.
We're all together as one.
We were all kumbaya.
Species,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
Look how quickly we started squabbling over who was going to have the masks and the vaccines. And didn't we squander those?
Yeah.
Locking our borders and shit.
I don't understand how
it was a mess.
You know, and social media has a lot to do with that, of course. But this divisiveness. It's like, wait a minute, is there a way we can pump the brakes on this train and just go, okay, enough is enough, everybody. Let's just. I don't want to sound like Serena. I'm serious. I'm a man, right? I'm a friggin' man. Right. I don't want to sound like some awakened crystal. Ignore the crystals I have in here, right?
I get what you're saying.
I don't want to be some bell-bottom, tie-dye, patchouli guy from 1972. Some
hippie, witchy woo-woo character,
No. But damn it, we have to figure out a way to stop this.
Right.
We fighting. It's a lot more fun to be nice.
Right.
It's a lot more fun to have fun than it is staying pissed off.
This is truly what I think is going on with CE5. And you can call it whatever you want. When I say CE5, I'm talking about human-initiated contact.
Mhm.
So us going out into our backyards and saying, hey, I believe in you. Come and show me a sign that you're here. And if you have anything you want to tell me, tell me. So the more people that are looking up to the stars and saying to them, hey, we're here, we believe in you, come and see us, we're not afraid, the more likely it is that they're going to feel comfortable enough to come and visit us. A lot of people say, why don't they just come down here and help us? We don't get it. Why don't they just land on the front lawn of the White House?
Mhm.
But we know what happens when something not from here comes here. We kill
shoot
it.
at it.
We kill it.
Yeah, we
we
shoot
squish
at
it. We squash it.
Yeah. Yep.
We get rid of it. I mean, if Roswell happened, what do you really think happened to those aliens? I mean, they were taken to the army base, prodded and poked into oblivion. It would have been a fucking nightmare.
They were waterboarded.
You can't even imagine like what those
Yes.
poor, like with the movie We Are Not Alone, you know how sometimes you dedicate movies to people that you love that have passed away. We want to dedicate the movie to the extraterrestrials that were retrieved from the Roswell craft, because those poor beings, if they existed, really fucking suffered.
They did.
Right?
They did. They
Right?
did. They did.
Because that's how we do
well. Okay.
in this town, you know? And
Here
it
we-
sucks.
The 405 and the 101, right? The busiest intersection in the world. It's
Yeah.
crazy set of highways.
Yep.
And you just drove through that at rush hour.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, right? Okay, so if a flying saucer landed out there and you're stuck in traffic and you've got to get here to the bunker, right, at showtime,
Yeah.
flying saucer comes out and blocks traffic.
Right.
You know, for about 15 minutes, you're going to think it's pretty cool, and everybody else. But after that, it's like, get that thing off of the freeway.
Yeah.
I've got to get home. And I think that's where we're at. I think the sensationalism will be there
Yeah.
in the beginning, but after that, life goes on.
Well, and I mean, you know how half of the world believe that there is issues with the climate and other people don't. The other half don't.
Mhm.
I think the people that believe that there's issues are the people that will see that UFO with wonder and joy that finally they get to meet their star brothers and sisters. But I think the other half, the people that don't believe in issues with our climate, will be like, exactly like you said, seen it, excellent, fuck off.
Yeah, well, okay.
You know,
Yes.
You're not allowed to.
But
Who
at
said that you
least-
could land here? You're not from here.
But at least the question gets answered
Yeah,
and we can move on.
yeah.
Will it be sensational? Some crazy stuff has happened in the last 5 years.
Mm.
Of so much of it that would have been the biggest news in the history of the world, but we've already forgotten about it. Right. And so would it be the same thing with ET? Would it be the same thing? Yes, I get it. Big news for a while.
Right.
But then after that, we're just going to. What was the movie about South Africa with the aliens and the spaceship that was above?
District 9?
Yeah.
I
District
love
9.
that movie so much.
That movie is great.
It's so great.
And so what honestly,
Right?
the ship is above Johannesburg.
Yeah.
So after
They put
a
them in a
while,
concentration camp, didn't they?
But it just became normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just life.
I would like to think that is what would happen, except that we wouldn't treat them with such disrespect. And
You know what? I
disdain,
cried in that movie.
Yeah.
I cried in that movie.
Well, it was a portrait of our
was-
life here right now. I mean, you know, it's tough being an outsider.
Everybody,
That's for sure.
have you been watching this?
Just
Everybody is like, man, this conversation.
Does
is the
anybody
best."
want some cat food?
Yeah, right. Okay, now tomorrow there's a worldwide CE5.
There is.
What's
There
going
actually
on with
is. Okay, so Dr. Greer has this wonderful and exciting idea. He believes that if 1% of the population of the planet all did CE5 at the same time, it would help to raise the vibration of humanity, thus making us nicer, kinder, happier, more cohesive people in the world being a much better place. Unfortunately, that's 80 million people.
That's a lot of
So
people.
that's a fuck ton. And I don't think we're going to reach it tomorrow. We might get 0.1. We might get 8 million.
Mhm.
But that's why people like us are important, and I mean that in the most humblest way. But people like us that have a voice are so important when it comes to spreading the message of trying to make contact with our star brothers and sisters.
Mhm.
Whether it's eating a pastrami sandwich outside with
Mhm.
Van Halen pumping in the back and
Mhm.
saying, "G'day, mate, come visit,"
Mhm.
or it's doing Dr. Greer's CE5 protocols. It doesn't matter how you do it; just do it.
Mhm.
Just try.
Mhm.
You know.
Well, what is it? There has to be a conscious connection, right? Something has to be going on, and it's a universal thing, right? It's the universe that is connected here.
Have you ever seen that movie Horton Hears a Who?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Horton Hears a Who, basically there's an entire world living on a dandelion. Okay. So there's millions and millions of these Whos that live in Whoville, but Whoville just happens to be a speck on a dandelion. And they want to be heard because they're about to be squished by an elephant, and they want to be heard. And so one of them's yelling, "Please don't squish us. We're here." And nobody can hear that one voice. But then when all of Whoville, when every single person in Whoville starts saying, "We are here, we are here," guess what? They heard. So the more of us that are doing CE5, in particular, the more of us that are doing it at exactly the same time, if these beings don't hear with their ears, but they hear with their mind, with telepathy, and there's 8 million or 8 billion of us screaming, they're going to hear us. And when they hear us, hopefully they'll come and help us because we need it.
I have it's interesting that you put it that way.
Right.
I have a friend, Ruben Langdon. I don't know if you know Ruben, but he's
No.
amazing. And he's along those lines. When he's a great researcher, film director, just an amazing talent.
Right.
And he says that when we think these thoughts, that it's like a beam of light, like a searchlight that's going out, and that's what's going. That they're over here, and these like searchlight. You know what I mean? These beams
I have
of
heard
energy.
of this theory before.
Yeah.
So the more you're saying, the more that's going out, the more
and then
illuminated.
and then they appear.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And this isn't something I believe, but I want to hear your opinion. Stephen Hawking, you know who he is, right? So he believes that we shouldn't be reaching to the stars, and
That's right.
we shouldn't be telling them where we are, and we shouldn't be asking them to come and visit because
Yep.
because maybe they're hostile.
Right.
What do you say to that?
He's not wrong. Okay. It's just like the majority of people are good people on planet Earth. There are some that like to rob banks and shoot people.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. It's going to be the same thing with ET. Right. The space is just it's too vast.
Right.
The universe is a big, big place. The Milky Way is 150,000 light years across. Just our Milky Way, right? That's big with 500 billion stars and 1 trillion planets. So are there going to be some bad elements there? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to be telling them that we're here? Well, no, you don't. But there must be some type of control in that, not with us, but I'm just talking about in the universe in general. So here on planet Earth, what do we have? We have the police, we have laws, we have prisons,
Right.
we have the threat of a bad time if you break the law, right? Maybe that's what's going on in the universe. Because, and this is where Stephen is wrong. Okay, so now let's go to the wrong side. If there was an advanced extraterrestrial civilization, an ETC out there with bad intentions, we would not know. We wouldn't be here.
We'd be vaporized.
Yeah, we'd be gone.
Yeah.
It's so,
And that probably has happened before.
it could have.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. Here's
Was it really a comet that killed all the poor little dinosaurs?
Yes.
Or was it something else?
Was it something else?
Right.
Because
Who threw the comet?
if you, I'm not going to do this for the camera, but I'm going to do this for you.
Okay.
So if you take this guitar pick, right? Okay. And let's say this guitar pick is let's say this guitar pick is 100 million years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 100 million years. All right, it's pretty thin. And you have Earth, and Earth is 5 billion years old. So we, as a civilization, us,
Right.
Homo sapiens sapien,
Yeah.
if this is 200 million years, but we've only been here for 2 million years, that means you would shave off a fraction of
Slither
this,
of it.
right?
Right.
But if you span this over to 5 billion years, we would literally be the atoms of the paint on that wall, right? Just the thinnest little sliver out
Yeah.
here. So if that's the case, and it took us only 2 million years to get to where we are today, right? You could take this 200 million year slice and you could pop this anywhere in here.
Mm.
And we could have come and gone, 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 come and gone.
Totally.
And just so many different times, and we wouldn't know or have any evidence of it, right? How many layers
Oh, you're
of
giving me
ice
chills
and
right
dirt?
now.
How many layers of ice and dirt do we have to dig through just to find dinosaurs from 75, 65 million years ago? Right? But if we backed up 200, 300, 400, 500 million years ago, how deep into the earth are we talking about where we would have evidence of a previous civilization? We would never know.
Can I tell you something really trippy?
Yes.
Okay. So this is going to sound crazy. If you think I'm crazy, fine. I don't give a fuck. This happened. So sometimes I hear they talk to me. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they're coming from. And they don't say much, but they say a few little words, right?
Okay.
The second time I had a UFO sighting, I was on a plane flying over Stonehenge randomly, and I heard, and I was like sleeping, when you're on the plane, you're half asleep. And I heard this voice saying, look now. Right?
Yes.
So I opened up the flap, pulled out my camera, and I'll show it to you in a minute. We can share it with your listeners. And I saw three massive
Shut up.
I'll show you. 3 massive orbs right out there. And they moved around slightly, and then they phased out 1, 2, 3. And they weren't obscure and they weren't far away. They were right there and they were huge. Okay.
Wow.
And so it happens from time to time. But recently, about 3-4 months ago, I heard the voice again, just in the back of my head, in the back of my ear, and it said, dig, right? And since then, I've been having these dreams, repetitive dreams over and over and over and over, telling me that all of the secrets, all of the riddles to the universe, everything we want to know is right here on planet Earth. It's just buried really, really, really deep below the ground.
What did I just say?
Exactly. And so what I have done is gone and bought a piece of land in Joshua Tree. And one of the next films we're going to make is going to be called The Dig. And we're going to dig a hole. A really, really deep hole, Jimmy Church.
Let's take our break right here. We'll be right back. Our guest right here in the bunker, Serena DC.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Please visit all of our sponsors. We're taking a quick break here. All of the links are below. We'll be right back.
That was fun.
Check out Billy Carson's Forbidden Knowledge. ForbiddenKnowledge.com or ForbiddenKnowledge.tv, where you can get access to over 6,000 videos, movies, TV series, exclusive documentaries like the Black Knight Satellite. You can do it all for just $7.77 per month or $77 per year after the 3-day trial, which is also totally free to check out. It's all simple to do. Billy Carson is the best. It's simple. ForbiddenKnowledge.com or ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's the number 4BK. I have a lot of fenders.
I will be hosting and emceeing the Conscious Life Expo this February 10th through the 13th at the LAX Hilton right here in Los Angeles, California. 200 speakers, including Linda Moulton Howe, Bashar, Deborah King, George Norrie, Daniel Sheehan, Scott Walter Johnstone, and David Wolf. Over 200 vendors, special events. This is the biggest event of its kind on planet Earth. You've got to come and hang out with all of us. Tickets and info at ConsciousLifeExpo.com. The links are below. On Saturday, April 1st, that's right, April Fool's Day 2023, I will be hosting the Parapod Festival at the Hyatt Regency right here in Valencia, California. It's a live one-day podcast awards. It's a film festival. It's a full-on media event. We're going to have sky watching. There's going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Linda Moulton Howe. Right now, you can submit your podcast, your film, your TV series, any of your paranormal media for consideration. You can do all of that on the links below. For info and tickets, go to parapodfilmfest.com. That's parapodfilmfest.com. April 7th through the 14th, 2023, I'll be hosting and presenting on the Hidden Secrets Seminar at Sea Cruise. From Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera on the Navigator of the Seas. That's right, up top, a giant water slide. You've got to check out the Navigator of the Seas. It's amazing. We've got Scott Walter, Adam Apollo, Nick Pope, Brad Olson, Vivian Chauvet, Jason Shirka, Robert Grant, Ruben Langdon, and another 12 amazing speakers and presenters. It's all simple to do. Just visit divinetravels.com/Hidden Secrets 2023. You know you want to go on a cruise with me. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
Crop it, Gabby. More? Can you just crop it from when we went off? I don't want any of the canned stuff.
All right, we are back.
Shit, really?
We are back. And so there was a hot mic. And so we're going to have to do a quick edit. Put your headphones back on.
Okay.
We're going to have to do an edit, and we're going to have to remove some of those comments. How about what did you guys hear?
God, did they hear what we were saying?
I don't know.
Judge.
See, look, we can hear you.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have to do an edit. This is Fade to Black. We are live from the bunker with Serena DC, and hopefully some of those. Yeah, man. Okay.
Wow.
So we were talking right before the break about
digging a hole.
Hearing, having communication.
Yeah.
What does it sound like?
Human, and just really sort of like monotone. So look here, like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Dig, go there. It's normally like look here, look up, over there. That's it. So they're never like, hey, here's the riddles of the universe. It's more directives. They tell me to do certain things. So either I have schizophrenia or it's real. But I don't know. Have you ever felt like, I mean, you've dedicated your life to this, to the search, right?
Yes.
The search for truth, and now. That's what I'm doing as well. And for me, I get this feeling it's like this is my calling and I'm on the right path and this is exactly where I'm meant to be and what I'm meant to be doing. Do you feel that as well?
I do. I do. Like
it's bigger than you. Do you get what I'm saying?
I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I had a friend. First off, my mom was just crazy, and she was into this stuff, and she sort of introduced me to things. But I had a friend. I'm in 4th grade, and he introduced me to like UFOs, and I was like, what? And so we went to the library and started, and that started, and then Eric Von Daniken. Now I'm much older than you,
right.
But so this was 1972, probably. So 73. And when Chariots of the Gods came out and this wave of UFOs and lost history swept over the world, I got into it. So I started researching at a very, very young age, and I've never stopped. What I did know was when Coast to Coast started, 1993, 1994, I lived across the street from the Coast to Coast studios in Sherman Oaks. And I thought to myself, I would listen to the interviews. I would listen to Art Bell and I would listen to what was going on.
but I would always say to myself, you're not asking the question that I would ask. I would ask this. I would ask this. I would ask this. So I started
That was exactly the same for me.
Yeah, and I had
Exactly
a
the same thing.
when I started doing this, it was a calling.
Yeah.
And I had a list of questions that I still ask to this day.
Right.
That's what I do.
I want to exchange the list of questions. I want to know what's your number one question when you sit down with, like, I don't know, Jacques Vallée walks into the room and you interview him. What do you want to know more than anything else?
I always one of my questions that I want to know is, what is consciousness? What is what do you think consciousness is? And so whether it's a physicist or Jacques Vallée or it's Linda Moulton Howe, Adam's a
king
great,
of consciousness.
Yeah. And because everybody's answer is different. I don't get the same answer. I'm trying to figure this out myself.
Interesting.
And so that is always that's like my first. Yeah.
Mine is how did it all start for you?
Yeah.
Like tell me about the first time that you experienced it. Not reading about it, that you saw it or you felt it.
I asked that question a lot. And so a couple of years ago, Eric Von Daniken invites me onto his podcast. He was just starting it. I was one of his first guests. And I thought, wow, this is great. Wow, okay. Life is complete. The circle is complete. Yeah. So, and his first question to me, his first question, so Jimmy, how did you get into this? Right? I said, you. And the reason, and he laughed and I tell him the story about my mom and stuff. And I thought that my experience with my mom and Eric Von Daniken was my own story. And I found that asking that question that you just asked me or that you ask everybody had the same answer. Well, it was, my crazy parents and Eric Von Daniken. And I heard this answer over and over again, Chariots of the Gods. It was Eric, and I heard it repeat so much that I certainly found out how important he was to the community and to the world, but also that my experience wasn't unique, that a lot of us kind of start the same way. The influence of our parents, there was something that we saw, not necessarily in the sky, but maybe it was a book or an article or something on TV, spurred by our parents telling us that the world isn't what it really seems to be, right? And then, boom, you're off into this journey. Was it that way for you?
See, I have a theory, right? I have a theory. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. This is really interesting to me. Hope it's interesting to everyone else. But, I asked you that question for a reason. I wanted to know, what area of knowledge you have gained the most perspective on. And it's interesting because what I'm asking and what you're asking are different. You want to know about consciousness. So something, some force somewhere has given you the responsibility of asking that question. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Like that's your responsibility now. And it's highly likely that you're going to be the person who's had that question answered so many times that you're going to find the common denominator. You're going to be able to, you might well be the person that figures out like, okay, well, here it is, and that's exciting. The more times you ask that question to people, the more information you're gathering and the closer you become to actually being able to figure out what that is. And for me, I'm not asking about when people started to be interested in it. I'm asking about the first moment that contact was made. I think that that's my calling. My calling's first contact, to understand, did they do something to bring it on or did it just happen? Where were they? How were they feeling at the time? How old were they? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do.
I'm trying to figure out, like, when does this first contact happen? Is it like a child going through puberty and when they turn 13, like a girl gets their period or something like that? Is that what it is? For me, I was 9. Okay. Jacques was the same age. Damien Knott, I'm not sure if you know who he is. Damien Knott's the Australian that from Australian Skies. You know that documentary?
I do.
He's amazing. And he was the same age as me as well. And so 9 years old seems to be something that's quite prevalent with a lot of people that have then gone on to have careers like us.
What's the definition of first contact for you?
First contact is hearing a message or seeing something, or for a lot of people, first contact is missing time. So falling asleep in one place and waking up somewhere else and not knowing how you got there, or looking at a clock and it being 3 and then doing this and then doing that and now it's 5. Because a lot of the times when we experience missing time, we don't necessarily have to have been taken physically, but we may have been taken mentally. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. I believe that they implant a thought into our minds, and that's what sets us on this path. I don't think I'm doing what I'm doing just because I'm into it. I don't think because I'm into a lot of stuff. A lot of freaky deaky shit. And I'm not doing that, but I'm doing this.
Right. Well, okay. And then for others, first contact is, some craft on the White House lawn.
Right.
Yeah. And is that enough? Right. When we talk about first contact, our own personal experiences, we can't change those.
Right.
Is that enough? Or do we need something on a bigger scale for everybody else?
I think anybody that's seen or heard or felt an extraterrestrial being or seen a craft is changed forever, because you go from a place of philosophizing about something to actually having like cold hard facts.
Right.
I think all of us need those cold hard facts to be true believers. Like I said, I always believed, just like Catholic people believe in Jesus. They ain't seen him. There's levels, right? But then for someone to actually have like an experience where they meet God or are touched by God, that's when they change. They truly change.
Well, there's okay. So when we talk about belief is a religious. It's a religious concept, right? You have belief in something that you haven't. There isn't necessarily a physical proof, but you are believing in that. And I think that belief is, and so if we spin that over to the UFO side of things, then it almost does become a religious, spiritual thing. And then you have the physical side. So when I had a sighting in the middle of the day and I'm seeing a craft in the middle of, not a light, not a plasma ball.
A saucer.
Yes. When you see something, now it's no longer belief. You're dealing with fact, right? If there was an instance where, Jesus came down or whatever and started walking the streets of planet Earth right now, and he's doing television interviews, it's no longer a belief system.
Right.
You're dealing with the physical and fact.
Well, there it is.
Right. Right.
But that's the interesting thing I think about CE5. And again, whether it's a Dr. Greer kind of vibe or whether it's you sitting in the backyard saying, "What's up? Come visit." There is a way to see these beings and to see these craft. And millions of people around the world have experienced it. Not tens of thousands.
I know.
Millions upon millions upon millions. And what blows my mind is the fact that the tools are there, but people aren't aware of them, and B, aren't using them. Because if everybody went out and did CE5, I would say 1 in 4 would see something.
Yeah, okay.
Straight away, and the others over time.
But yes, and this is my this is where I become a walking paradox, because you're right, and I agree with you. But let's say you and I and Anderson Cooper, right? We're doing a CE5. Freaking craft shows up and literally says hello, and everybody is blown away. Does Anderson Cooper go on the air on CNN the next night and talk about it?
If he feels called to,
I don't think he would.
I don't know.
I don't think he would, even in today's climate.
I think it's about ego in that instance then, because then it's like, is spreading the truth more important than maintaining this persona that I have? And for Anderson, maybe the persona is more important to him. I guess you and I are probably more spiritual characters, and we're put on earth to help other people. So of course we're going to spread the message, even if it makes us homeless in the street, right?
Right.
But other people obviously aren't really that way.
Yeah. I I'm so thankful for, like Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kane, and, for having the courage to step forward and, with the New York Times and write this up, because that has never been done at that level ever before. And it certainly did change things. But the momentum that was there from that, and it was a pretty good crest, right? Pretty good wave there for a minute.
Right.
But then we've seen this, like come and go over the last 4 or 5 years. It's never just continued to rise. Why do you think the media has come and gone so many times with this?
I think that there's people like us that step forward, and then there's 50 other people that are going to push us back. I was talking to my son actually about Roswell. I'm like, what do you know? He's 17. What do you know about Roswell? Not much, just the aliens were here and it got covered up. I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you what happened, And I just told him about how the news story came out on day one. Hey, flying saucer, here it is. It's extraterrestrials, and then boom, the next day, the cover up. So you had people with good intentions telling the truth, but then you had people that wanted to cover that up, masking it. And I think that that's always going to be there. So how do we rise up against being silenced? How do we do it? I think it's hand-to-hand combat, and it's doing CE5, or it's going out and getting that information for yourself, because until you've seen it with your own eyes, until you've experienced it yourself, how can you truly believe? Imagine this. Imagine if the Catholic religion or the Muslim religion had a way that you could go outside and use telepathy to ask Jesus or to ask Muhammad to appear. Imagine if you could do that. I think every single Catholic would run outside and they would do it straight away, because they want to see their God, who they love so much and care for so much, right? So I think that I challenge everybody out there that is a believer, even if your belief isn't that strong, even if you're one of those people that's like, yeah, it sounds crazy that we'd be alone, and go outside and just try this shit. They want to communicate with us, but they just need us to instigate.
You know what's really strange about that is that I can go out to Joshua Tree, which is 2 hours east, right? It's just right over here.
Yeah.
Drive out there for 2 hours, see the most amazing stuff, and see the sky. And then, but you come back to LA with the light pollution and everything, and nobody's looking up.
Right.
Nobody is concerned about, and I know Joshua Tree's right. It's the same sky. Yeah. We are sharing the same sky.
That blows my mind too.
You come back to LA and there's nothing because of the light pollution and everything. I just don't get it.
But then, I was driving over a bridge in Victoria, in Melbourne, in Australia, where I'm from, driving over this huge bridge called the Westgate Bridge. Hundreds and hundreds of cars going in both directions, 5 lanes in each direction, middle of the day. And I see 3 UFOs appear. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 photos of it that I can show you, that you can share with your viewers. They were bright red, and there they were, moving in formation. And I'm on the phone to my friend Stern. I'm like, I've got to get off the phone. I've seen UFOs. Hung up on him, pull out my thing, nearly died, and I'm like, holy shit!
Right.
And it was just after I'd seen my first sighting. But they come whenever they want, wherever they want. Once you've reached out once and they've answered the call, you'll see them all the time.
No cars pulled over on the bridge.
It was for me.
Yeah.
But I got it.
Yeah.
I captured it.
Isn't that strange?
Right. No one else on that plane saw what I saw.
I get it. I get it.
Captured it. It's for me.
I'm driving. This is 2008. And I'm in the valley, and I'm driving down Latuna Canyon Road, winding road, and I see this thing. It comes down into the valley, into Van Nuys, this white ball of light, and I thought it was going to explode. Went right into the middle of Van Nuys. Now it's 10:30 at night. I called MUFON. I freak out, get home, turn on the news, nothing. I thought, that's impossible. This thing came down, right? So anyway, the next night, nothing. Right. And I thought, how? Either nobody, it's millions of people that live in the valley.
Nobody care. Nobody saw it.
Nobody's looking up.
Well, they did, and they didn't care.
Or was it just for me?
Or was it just for you?
Isn't that
Right.
I've never really been able to figure that out. When
Let me tell you something weird. You know Michael Mazzola?
sure.
So Michael's the guy that made Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which was, I would say, the number one UFO documentary of all time to date, right?
Could be.
Well, sales-wise, I don't know if,
No, could
it's
be.
subjective as to whether or not it was the best. Michael has never seen a UFO. We were
I know.
we were out doing a CE5, and I've got Adam Curry there and Jim Martin and a whole group of other people, and we're literally staring at the sky. Jim's filming it. We're tracking 2 UFOs. We're screaming. We're like, "Oh my God, can you see that? Yes, I can see it." Everyone's going crazy. And then you hear Michael coming out of the house. He's like, What can you see?" The second he comes out, gone.
I did.
We're like, "Michael, go back inside, man." Like,
we did a CE5 one night. Michael's with us,
Yeah.
and we're out in the desert in Nevada. We're in Nevada,
right.
and so we're doing this thing, and we did it all. We meditated, we played the music and stuff, and great night, stars. We're out in the desert. We see nothing. Nothing. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
I'm with Michael all night. We drove together, as a matter of fact. The only thing, but something actually happened that night that was cooler than maybe seeing a UFO. So we're all sitting out there doing our thing. We got our night vision, and there's probably, hey, wait a minute here. So check. Wait. Okay, are you looking at the screen?
Yep.
Okay, just stay with me here. Watch this.
Oh my God, what I would do to gain access to all of these pictures that you've got on your computer.
Wait. Here's the sky watch in the desert.
Wow. Oh wow.
There it is. Where's Mazzola? Where's his? Right there.
Oh, there he is. Cutie.
There he is.
Yeah.
So we're all out there doing our thing.
Right.
And look at Mazzola.
I know, he's so cute. I love him.
So
he said to say hi, by the way. I spoke to him on the way here.
He's certainly listening.
He's the goat, man. I love him.
So as we were doing this, a meteor, flaming meteor comes in. Low. Serena, we could see the flames.
Right.
I think we could hear it. And it just it lasted for like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds.
Did the tail stick around after?
It was a flaming, burning, smoking, bright orange meteor.
Okay, you're
flaming on fire.
You're giving me chills right now. You're not going to believe this, right? So I'm out doing CE5, and I was there with, Andrea Perron?
I do.
From the Country House, yeah. So we were there, and we were like filming this whole thing, and Michael was there, and I saw it first. I'm like, holy shit, there's something in the sky. And it was one of the rare moments where everyone turns around and sees it, and he was there too. And it's exactly how you described.
Yeah. And so
I wonder if that's a coincidence.
But
you know what I'm saying?
He has said to me so many times, man, I want to see something.
He's like the meteor whisperer or something. That's weird. We didn't see any UFO that night, but that's what we saw.
When we're in the last segment here, when does it's We Are Not Alone, right?
Well, the current movie is called Contact the CE5 Experience. So
that's been blowing up on Amazon.
It's trending.
Yeah.
As a fledgling filmmaker, that's a super exciting moment for me. But yeah, so that's out at the moment. So if anyone is thinking of doing the global CE5 tomorrow, it's a great movie to watch because it basically teaches you Dr. Stephen Grew's protocols and it teaches you how to do it. Is that the only way to do CE5? No. But it is a really good way to start if you've never done it before. In particular, if you don't know much about meditation and telepathy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a very experienced person, then just go out there and have at it. But if not, then it is a really good way for you to learn how to do it and the philosophies behind it.
And when does We Are Not Alone come out?
So We Are Not Alone is a 1091 film that's going to be coming out in the summer that stars you and me together, which I'm so excited about. But I think that movie is going to do a lot for our collective, for our movement, because I've made it in a way that will be, I think, acceptable for everyone else, so hopefully we'll get a few million more believers on our side of the fence when they watch it.
Now you're producing that and Mazzola's directing?
Correct.
Is it finished? Is it in the
It's
can?
finished. It's in sound and color right now. So I saw the first cut the other day. Lance Magier is part of it as well. He did Phenomena and Third Eye Spies. And what Lance did is he brought because a lot of people tell me about their experiences with extraterrestrials, and Lance is actually an absolute whiz at Unreal Engine, which is like an animation kind of. And so he brings all of their stories to life, and it's just. Oh, it's really cool. I can't wait to share it with everyone.
Well, that's the
I'm so
A-list.
excited.
That's the A-list of guys. Michael's got a really, really good sense of direction.
Right.
Lance is one of the most talented guys out there, and I know that he's listening right now too as well.
And I'm just a weird little brown Aussie girl that like jumped into the mix.
Well,
but hopefully,
when you interview, do you go organic, or do you have a list of questions in front of you? How do you handle that?
I never, ever, ever go into any interview I do with questions.
Right.
I just want to hear people's stories. I want people to tell me what they want to tell me. I mean, you're very similar to that as well.
You can see I never do that.
But like you, I always have my one question, and that's kind of how I started.
Right.
I started by saying, so tell me how it all began. but it's good because you want to know the origins of what made this person who they are, what started them on this journey.
With science and physics, and we can talk about Avi Loeb or Harvard, Gary Nolan, and these scientists and representing and working with universities.
Right.
We have that side of stuff. Of course, we have the Department of Defense and the Navy and everything. But then we have the other side, the consciousness side of this. Do you think that our two worlds are about to collide?
I think that they need to collide. I think some people are too far on this side and too far on that side, like with most things in life. So what I've basically done, I've actually just started up a new project that I call the CE5 Collective. And what I'm doing with the CE5 Collective is I'm creating this space where anybody that's interested in trying to initiate contact or to talk to people that have had contact experiences can kind of be together in a nice, big, friendly, loving group where they can sort of share experiences and teach each other and learn.
Right.
So shameless plug. Yeah. So if people go to CE5collective.com, you can actually register to become a member. It's free and it will never cost any money to be part of the community. But I think that all of us need somewhere where we can all gather together and where we can speak freely about what we've seen and how we feel and what we believe, and also share what works and what doesn't work.
What should we do, like the Million Man March, right? Should we do like some disclosure march down to the Lincoln Memorial, in front of the Washington Monument in DC, to the steps of the Capitol building? Well, no, that's not a good idea. Right. But should we get everybody together and just get a movement going?
I mean, I think we need to start a movement for sure, but I think that the more proof that we're able, because this is the thing, right? When you do CE5, we've only really talked about our own personal experience. So we get to go out there, we get to see an orb, we get to know that it's real, right? But we also get to do this.
Right.
So if we get enough of these and we get them all in one spot, in one place, then when we put that out to the rest of the world, we say we don't have one capture or two captures or five and a fuzzy little thing over there. Here it is in high definition, millions and millions and millions of sightings, millions of videos. We need to make our argument so strong and so powerful that it's undeniable. I've never been the kind of person that's like, this is how it is, just believe me.
Mm-hmm.
I give them proof. So if we want to convince everyone else, then we need to give them the proof. We can't just say, take our word for it. We saw something out the back. Believe me. Fuck that. I wouldn't believe that.
No, you can't.
You need proof.
Right.
So if we believe and we want other people to believe, then we need to go out there and get the proof ourselves and then share it. The more voices that we have, like Horton Hears a Who, the more people saying, we're here, the more we're going to convince everybody else, right?
What's the difference between the attitude here and Australia?
Aussies believe. I
Mhm.
think with Americans, it's such an interesting culture here where with your government in particular, you're on the left or you're on the right, and that's it. It's almost like a mental war between each other, and there's this sort of like strong desire to be right. And if you're a Democrat, then you don't like the Republicans. If you're a Republican, you don't believe in what the Democrats think. Whereas in Australia, people are like, government, who gives a fuck? we're not getting looked after enough anyway, so whatever. And I think in those environments you're more likely to be accepting of other things. I think I love America so much. I'm so privileged to call this place home. American people are just so fucking fantastic, but there is a tendency sometimes to be a little bit close-minded about things you don't understand.
Mhm.
So what do? We help people understand.
Well, so in Australia, I don't know if I can equate Australia as the same as Canada or the same as
Very
the
much like
United
Canada.
Kingdom, but here in the United States, we too much just think it's all about us. Right, that there isn't another world out there, and
It's
there
true.
is, right?
It's true.
Yeah, and when it comes to the UFO thing, even our UFO community here has a problem with that. This is not an American issue. This is not a United States Navy issue. The same things that go on here go on in Australia. They
Right.
go on in Canada or China
Right.
or Russia or Africa. This is a global thing.
Right.
And I've always wondered about how Australians or the rest of the world looks at this very profound question.
I really, and I lived in England before moving to America. I lived there for a year and a half, and I really think that more people around the world are a lot more open to a lot more things, And what I love about America is that there's so much diversity and so much going on, and like it's kind of its own world within itself. A lot of people in America have never left America to go on vacation because
Right.
if you want snow, go to New York right now. If you want sun, go to Florida. You've got everything right here. And that's so great, but it also kind of sucks because it does inhibit exploration. Because you have got it all here, so why leave?
Yeah. I just went to Egypt. Right?
I was so jealous. I watched every single story, everything. I was like,
it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
But
can I come with you next time?
yes, you can. We're going this year, a couple of days. So absolutely.
Yes.
But I expected, or no, I should say, I looked forward to the spiritual things and the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx and going to Abydos. I wanted to do these at Luxor and Karnak, of course, right?
Yeah.
All right, but that's not what was cool about Egypt. That was all great. It was the people, and if I have any advice to Americans, United States citizens, is what? Go to Egypt.
Yeah.
Don't go to Egypt for the pyramids. Go to Egypt to see how people learned to live and love and respect each other, because that's what goes on there. It's like this crazy, and when I was flying back, Serena, I'm not making this up. When I was flying back from Egypt, I was like, man, I love my country, but this is going to suck. I got to go back and deal with these attitudes and this thing, this view of culture. We've only had a couple of 100 years here in the United States to grow up and try to develop a sense of maturity. They've had 5,000-10,000 years to figure it out in Egypt.
Well, like when you look at countries like India as an example, and we all kind of discount India as being some third world country. They're uneducated. They don't know what they're doing. But, but that's just not true at all. Yeah, that's a portion of the country, but they're huge, sprawling cities with some of the most intelligent people who ever born that live there. But why I bring up India is because if you talk to any Indian on the street, be it a scholar or be it a homeless person, all of them believe in extraterrestrials. All of them believe that we were visited in
Is that right?
ancient times. If you look at all of the carvings and the writings and the inscriptions, it's all there. Like just like they have in Egypt, where you can see the flying machines and the UFOs. Like they believe, and they also believe in the afterlife. In fact, if you said to an Indian person there's no afterlife, they look at you like you're fucking mad.
Yeah, that does make sense.
And that's India. And then there's also China. There's so many countries around the world that actually just believe it. In fact, we're the minority in that sense for not believing it.
I was on with Christina Gomez on her show that I do with her every week, and she's amazing. But she picks the topics, and this week we were doing Japan, right? Mysteries of Japan. And this is the crazy part. We have a hard time here speaking about UFOs and discussing this in the United States. It seems like it's wide open, but no.
It does to us because we're into it. But for the most part,
it's not
they're
the
not.
case. Right. But in Japan, they came from ET. That's what they believe, man. That's their culture. It's just like when you go through the writings of India and the Vimanas and everything, or Persia, flying carpets, and this whole...
It's all there.
It's all there.
It's all there. The bulk of humanity actually believe. It's just
and
us.
has zero issues with it.
Right. They're excited about it. And I'm not even going to say it's just us, because there's a large group of people in America that also believe that we're being visited constantly, and that's the Native Americans. And I'm sure all of us that are listening to this have watched documentaries where they talk about how they see craft all the time. And it's part of their belief system.
Have you seen...
Not us. Oh, no.
Have you seen in person any petroglyphs here in the States yet?
I have.
Oh, is that the craziest thing to see?
It's that to me is almost as incredible as seeing a UFO.
I'm right with you.
It just slaps you across the face.
Mazzola and I, Michael... Hello, Michael. I just called you Mazzola.
Mazzola. I call him Mazzola. I'm like, hey, Mazzola.
Mazzola. And so we were out and we, are looking at petroglyphs. And it's at night. We got flashlights, we're doing this. But you see
I'd love
this.
to see that.
And I'm looking. And Mazzola's like, dude, this is DNA. Yeah. And somebody else is going, this is mitochondria. This is this. And we're looking at this dude with this helmet on and it's thousands of years old. And you're right. That's as crazy as seeing a spacecraft. Right.
It's all here. It's actually all here.
You haven't been to Egypt yet. What about the Gosford glyphs in Australia?
I have seen them, and they're incredible. And I've also been to recently to Chichen Itza.
What?
Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
Same. And you can feel it there. Question: when you were in Egypt and you were near the pyramids, did you feel it?
It depends on which one. The Great Pyramid? No. No. The Sphinx was a very spiritual journey, and it's right in front of it. The Great Pyramid, not to get into a big long thing about it, my expectations were very high. Okay.
Everyone says that, then they're like, yeah, it was a bit small.
Well, no, it's big.
It was huge.
It's big.
Right.
So I go in, I'm first. Right. And so I go up to the tunnel and I'm there and we're taking pictures and stuff. Anyway, so I go,
give me chills.
I go up and I go into the Grand Gallery and I'm looking around and I'm waiting for the beam of light, right? This thing. No, it's beautiful. It's crazy. It's insane. It's all of that. But I didn't get the spiritual vibe. You go to Dendera, right? You go to Abydos and you go to these different spots in Saqqara, and you head out. Very spiritual journey, very powerful things. Oh, man.
Do you think that's maybe because it's been visited so many times?
No. I don't think it was. I don't think it was a spiritual building. I don't. I think it's mechanical, and it's.
I think that too.
Yeah, there's something. Okay, look, you go
like the hydropower, and then
the
beam of light.
Yeah. So if you go to Joshua Tree, right, and you go to the retreat center, you're at a spiritual place, right, and you're there, and then you experience that. And then you go to a Ford factory that builds cars.
Yeah.
You're not going to get
Yeah.
a spiritual vibe at the Ford factory.
You know that tells me then that clearly, even though the sarcophagi were found in there and it was used as a burial chamber, yada, 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 clearly that's not what it was. Because you would have felt it. You're an intuitive guy.
Yeah.
You would have felt it.
That's the dogma.
Was its purpose, you know?
That's the dogma part of it, that it was a tomb.
Yeah.
I no. If I was Khufu and I built that and that was my tomb, my name would be all over it.
I agree.
All
if you're
over
that arrogant to make a monument fucking big,
you're gonna
you're gonna do something, you know.
You go
on the Sphinx, you would have decaled it.
When you go to I'll use Dendera as an example, and it's a feminine temple, right? Okay, so for the divine feminine, and you go there and you see it is floor to ceiling, the pillars, the walls, everything is adorned with the most insane, beautiful artwork, carvings, figures, writings, hieroglyphics, colors, the blues and the golds, and it's all still there.
Like a true memorial. You can tell. It's like
powerful. I mean, it's strong. You cannot help but feel it and be moved. The Temple of Isis on the island of Philae, that was just an incredibly spiritual place. And so you do that like Joshua Tree, and then you go to the Great Pyramid, and it's a Ford factory. You know, it's mechanical.
Because Chichen Itza, and it wasn't a friendly feeling, but they sacrificed millions of people there, and you can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it.
You stand at the bottom. I haven't been there.
Yeah, and you do the.
You stand at the bottom of those steps and you just think, how many bodies?
How many heads roll down?
How many heads roll down those steps?
And I pick up on that, those sort of like spiritual energies, and that place was insane. But I know exactly what you're saying because I actually I spent a lot of time at Stonehenge, which is in England, the big stone circle, and I didn't feel a spiritual connection to that.
Really? I'm going to be there in a few months.
It's cool.
Yeah. And I'm going to Manchester. Yeah. But I've got a couple of extra days, and I'm going to
100% check it out.
I'm going to go to Avebury and go to Stonehenge.
But like you, I felt they had a mechanical nature to it. Like standing in the middle of it, you could feel power. Like you could see that it was created there as like an energy force. But as a spiritual center, like where souls had like left this realm, you just didn't.
Were you there as a tourist?
No, I actually got let in myself.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
okay,
walking the inside, and there was only like 5-6 people there.
Oh, shut up!
I'm going to send you a video of it. I'm going to tell you something that happened. It was so weird. So it was a sunny day. It wasn't warm because England's never warm. Let me tell you, so it was fucking cold in that place. But it was, maybe like 60 degrees, and it was sunny. And we're walking into the circle, and as soon as we were in the circle, we saw like a wall of cloud like approaching, not a sky of cloud, a wall of cloud. It was the strangest thing. And within a couple of minutes, it went from being sunny to hailing. And I'm standing in the middle of this stone circle, and it was just, there was this hail and this snow like swirling around and around. And I'm telling you, it was the most magical, mystical experience ever. And then it just passed.
Wow.
And the guy that was there, the guide, I guess, he stood there and he just goes, that has never ever happened before. I've done a million tours at this place, and I'm like,
that's crazy town.
Sorry, man.
Did you go to Avebury?
I've got a video. I'll send it to you.
Did you go to Avebury?
That whole place is amazing. Like Stonehenge is very famous, but there's henges. Like Stonehenge basically means there's some stones in a circle, and the henge itself has nothing to do with the stones. It's kind of like a moat that's sort of dug out around it.
A pit.
Yeah, a pit. Yeah, and that's the henge, And there's hundreds of henges around that area. The whole area is really cool. Really cool.
Do you see any crop circles?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Want to see a video of me in a crop circle? It's pretty cool.
It's going to be a long night. So
crop circles are insane.
I don't. You know what flips me out? Okay, there's the side of me that goes, come on, man, it's just people out there doing it. Right. They're getting it done. Right. But then there's the other side that is nobody's been caught. There's no video. There's no police arresting somebody for making a crop circle.
Let me tell you how it goes down, right? So they've got these Facebook pages where if you want to know when the crop circles appear, because there's crop circle season.
Crop circle season
happens between August and sort of the end of September.
Right.
Anyway, so I just moved to England, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to join these pages, and I saw one had appeared, and it had like coordinates for where it was, because there's this lady, and she goes up in her light plane every morning, and she flies all over Wiltshire, which is where they appear. And when she sees them, she takes a photo, puts it on Facebook, and puts the coordinates. What a fucking legend. Shout out to that chick, right? Anyway, so I hopped in the car with a friend, and I'm like, let's go. Let's go see if we can find it. And this crop circle, we couldn't find it anywhere. We searched and searched and searched, and we just could not find it. Then we see this car driving along, and it had a number plate saying UFO on it, and it pulls over and it says plover. And the guy comes out and he goes, "Are you looking for the crop circle?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm looking for it." So we started a convoy, and we found it. Right. So we found a field. We knew it was out there, and it was so hard to get to this field. We went through a school, and then over a paddock, and then around a corner, and then there it was. So it isn't out there for people to see. And that's the common misconception.
So what?
It was hidden. Hidden.
How'd you feel?
So I'll send you the video so you can hear the real reaction. But when we first saw it, we're like, is that it? And then it was like, I'm walking in a crop circle. Oh my God, they're bent over. But then because I'd seen some videos about it, I knew that you had to look at the nodes, right?
Yeah.
To see if they'd just been bent or if they'd exploded.
Yep.
Because if they'd exploded, then that meant that they'd been moved.
Energy.
Exactly, by energy. And they had exploded.
Dang.
I have some in my house.
Did you go to the center?
I did go in the center, and this is the freaky thing. And I'll show you the video. There was a pile of rocks piled up right in the very center. And guess what? I took them. Michael Mazzola has one of them. I have one. I took the pile of. Well, I thought. Can I tell you honestly? When I first saw it, I'm like, that was a gift. It was a gift. Why else is there a pile of rocks?
That's how you sold it to yourself?
Bitch! I'm telling you, it was a gift, a pile of stones.
So, I'm in Egypt. I'm in Egypt, and I'm walking. I think I can't remember. Okay. Anyway, we're out.
Yeah.
And we're walking, and I'm looking down. And I think this was like Kamambo. I think that's where it was. And there was an archaeological dig going on, and they had the temples behind us, and we're over on this side. So cool. And I'm with this lady named Shah. And so we're looking. She was our guide. She's amazing. Happy birthday, Shah.
My God, it's my birthday today.
Is it really?
Is it her birthday too?
2/3/2023 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize that.
2/3/2023.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to Shah. Hey, girl.
So anyway, we're walking, and I'm looking down, and we're walking on pottery shards, right? So now, and I pick something up, and I could see, like, it was either paint or carved. I could see stuff on it, right? I was going to take it. She goes, "Put that down."
Yeah.
I was like, but put it. And so I put it on there. I didn't take anything.
Yeah.
I'm in Amman, Jordan, and I'm going through customs, and I've got a bunch of stuff that I bought in Egypt, and they searched me. They held me back for like an hour.
You would have got your ass kicked.
Yeah,
you taken that.
See, this is the crazy thing. Everybody spoke English. I'm flying first class. I've got a thing. They can look and see what's going on, right? And they suddenly didn't speak English. It was like crazy, and they were and I was like, man, So they take out all of my stuff, and they're going through it. And little things that I bought, little statues and stuff, and I had to go and explain to each, and they photographed everything with my passport. These statues.
They wanted to get you, Jimmy.
These were trinkets I bought in a gift shop, right? For friends. And they're taking pictures of each one with my passport. And I was thinking to myself, man, if I would have had that piece of pottery.
And we never saw him again.
It'd have been over.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm walking on all this history, and I'm not talking about. I looked down and saw a piece of pottery. It was everywhere. It was
Did
just
you
like
touch it?
everywhere. Yeah, I was picking up a lot of it and looking at it.
Wow.
It was so funny. Shaw goes, put that down. It's like, oh, come on. No, it's the right thing
She
to do,
saved
Jimmy.
you.
Just put it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could just look down and see history.
How incredible is that? Like, imagine being an archaeologist, how fun that would be.
It would be the best.
Unearthing those things. Like, oh.
When you go to Egypt, you'll stay in front of the Great Pyramid.
Right.
There's this great hotel. It's called the Mina House. You'll stay there. It's amazing. And it's right.
There it is.
Here's the Great Pyramid, sand, your breakfast table, right? And you're just there and you're eating and looking. But this is what goes through your mind. Moses walked here, right? You know what I mean? This is where we are. This is what this is about right now.
You're on Moses. I'm on like Ramesses and then the extraterrestrial overlords.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly.
It's all there.
Yeah. That sand. Think about the footprints that were created just right there as you're eating your breakfast, and it's the Great Pyramid.
I would just be thinking, what else is underneath there?
Oh man. See that?
Man.
This is what they don't tell you about Giza, because you always see the Sphinx and you see the three pyramids. Oh, okay. When you're driving and walking, around there are temples and things on the Giza comp that you can tell are really, really old. Number one, but two, they're everywhere.
Really?
And so you're looking at that and they're buried, right? You'll see that, you see all you can think about is what else is under there?
Right.
What else is under that sand?
And it's so restricted. It's just so frustrating.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
Do you think it would be like that here? So you just say that, you're in the Mojave Desert and you pyramid. Do you think that our government would let them dig?
No.
And dig and dig? No.
No.
Because they lie and pretend, it's
They
preservation.
don't want us to. They don't want us to.
know.
No. Look at Antarctica.
But it's the riddles of the universe, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Why don't they want us to know?
Think about that. Antarctica. Why is it so restricted? It's not because it's cold. And if just like I was talking about earlier, right? When you go into deep history. When we are finding out, like Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe wasn't supposed to exist. Giza was the oldest thing. It's 3000 BC. Before that, there was nothing.
Göbekli Tepe's 10, right?
10,000 BC, 12,000 years old. But it wasn't supposed to exist, and it's 7,000 years older than Giza. Right. Well, and now there's Karahunt. There's all these other not only tepes, but if that exists, how much more is out there?
That's why I'm going to dig that hole.
Yeah, dig it. Serena, thank you so much. What a great night.
Thank you so much.
Where can everybody go and check you out? We've got your links here. So you have serenadc.com.
Oh, yeah. I've got lots of links. There's so many links. Bugger the links. Forget about it. Just go to CE5Collective.com and join up. It's free and will always be free forever. And I'm trying to create a community of people just like me and Jimmy where you can meet like-minded people and share your stories and hear their stories. And hopefully we can reach Dr. Greer's 80 million and start talking to these star people and getting them to come and help us out.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Yeah. Thank you so much, Serena. Good luck on rolling that rock uphill.
Thank you.
And it's going to be great when the movie comes out this summer. We'll get you back.
Thanks.
And we'll talk about that and make that announcement. Is there going to be a premiere in LA?
Yes, and will you be walking the red carpet with me, sir?
I'm going to be interviewing on the red carpet.
Oh, we should actually do that. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that for you. It'll be a lot of fun. My pleasure, and it'll be an honor and a privilege to do it.
Thank you. But yeah, for now, you can check out Contact the CE5 Experience. It's on Amazon and Apple TV and, pretty much everywhere. And thank you so much for interviewing me, Jimmy.
Now I'm going to go watch some videos.
Let's go CE5. Let's go outside and CE5, man.
We're going to go CE5 in the backyard right now.
Sweet.
So, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great, safe, fun, and amazing weekend. I am Jimmy Church. I'll see everybody on Monday. And next week, let me make this announcement to everybody really quick. Next week is going to be a short week on Fade to Black because I've got Conscious Life Expo. So Thursday night, I'm going to go see Hot Crazy Band at the Whiskey and then head down to Conscious Life Expo. So there's no show on Thursday night. So it's going to be a short week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. With all of that, I'm going to get out of here. Say goodnight, Serena.
Good night, Serena.
All right, everybody. Behave and be well. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2023 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Have a great weekend, everybody. Say bye, Serena. Wave.
Oh, that was so fun.
Wow.